All right, good evening, everybody. My name is David Shaw. I'm the Senior Vice President of International and Content for the UFC, and just want to start off by saying thank you to Kudos Arena, New South Wales Combat Sports Authority, and of course our fans here in Sydney, another great event in Australia. Attendance was 10,021, and fight of the night goes to Brown and Camacho. Performance bonuses go to Tai Tuivasa and Lentz. Any questions?
Yeah, David, just wanted to ask you kind of what the future for this market looks like next year. We're in an interesting position where we know we've got the Perth pay-per-view that's long-waited. So what does that look like for the rest of the market? I mean, could Sydney be, Melbourne? What does it look like next year?
Yeah, I mean, generally very bullish on Australia. Our business here has been on a nice roll for the last few years. A nice lead up into UFC 193 in Melbourne, and then since then, just on fire. Just in terms of our TV business, our pay-per-view business, performances of some of the Australian athletes here. We're looking forward to 2018. Perth in particular on Sunday, Feb 11th at Perth Arena. After that, I think there's a few options. I mean, we always love coming to Sydney. Melbourne's always a great destination. We haven't been to Brisbane or the Gold Coast for a while. We haven't been to Adelaide in maybe 3 years. So there are a few options for us. Probably late, kind of Q3, Q4, similar time frame to what we've done in the last couple of years here in November. We're definitely 2 events next year, and we're looking forward to coming back.
The star of the market right now, of course, is Robert Whittaker. I know that you're not in the business of matchmaking or anything like that, but any news on that front, on maybe, kind of when his next appearance will take place?
No news yet. I think, as you guys know, the kind of X factor right now is how is George doing. Listen, bottom line is we want to have Robbie fight in Perth. It's the stars are sort of aligning for that event, having a pay-per-view there. First time in Western Australia, which is meaningful for us. If you think back to the first times that we've been in other markets, like in Toronto, Ontario at 129, like in Victoria with 193. So we want to blow it out of the water and make it a very significant event and a real impact, not only for Western Australians, but also for Australian fans all over the country. So it's probably going to come down to George. 3 months for anybody is a quick turnaround. So if we can line up that fight, then that would be amazing, but there's just no real update at this point.
And last thing for me, Dave, we did have one bad incident, I guess, this week with Colby Covington and how everything played out. I'm just curious if you have any update on that, kind of, the legal implications and also where the company stands with what happened.
So from a company standpoint, we're still collecting as much information as we can. We've spoke to Verdum and his team. We spoke to Covington. We spoke to the hotel security. We spoke to police. So we are not at a point to make any conclusions yet. It's just too early. There's still a process that we need to go through. And listen, at this point, it's in the hands of the New South Wales Police. And I think he's going to have Verdum's going to have some conversations or at least some meetings in the next few weeks with them.
Just a question over here. With the Perth card, in terms of the time difference, are you anticipating an early start for the locals in Perth?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to go off in North America 10 p.m. Eastern, and on the Pacific Coast, it'll be 7 p.m. So for Perth, I think that pushes us back to maybe a 7 a.m. first bout, which is obviously 3 hours earlier than here, the normal time here. But that's just the name of the game if we're going to be in that territory. So, I mean, we've got no worries about it. I don't think anyone's needs an excuse to get up early and go have a good time and watch the fights. So, yeah, that's not really on our radar.
And in terms of when you're putting the card together, will you be trying to push a lot of local talent on there, or are you looking to put a bit more international flavor for this one?
Well, I think a balance of both, and both international. Both from international, local, but also local and star power. That's the objective for us. I mean, each time we're in a region, it's always great to have local athletes. I mean, it gets the fans fired up. It sells tickets. It's a good way to showcase new athletes that have a legitimate possibility of becoming stars. I mean, a couple fights have already been announced. Tyson Pedro's going to be competing. Ben Wynn's going to be competing. And our matchmakers will continue to look for local talent that can build out that card.
And just finally, just wanted to get your thoughts on some of the new talent in the UFC from today.
Yeah.
Great performance from Ty, great performance from Nadia. Yeah. What are some of the performances that kind of stood out to you, and what was your reaction to some of those big wins?
Yeah, I mean, Ty's to me took the cake only because, the guy's got a flair for the dramatic. I mean, he's great in front of a microphone. He's great in front of the camera. He's so good with our fans. And there was a lot of discussion around how he would enter the UFC. And he's been waiting for the opportunity for a while. He came out and was very dynamic. I think Tyson Pedro's line was, "I didn't even know he could jump." So it was good to see him to come out and have a performance like that after so much fanfare prior to his entering the UFC.
And just quickly, what did you think about Nadia Kassem? She's obviously got a lot of steam during this week, obviously, even though it was her first fight here. Yep. What did you think of her performance and just her, I guess, attitude in general? She's almost like a young female Diaz brother.
Yeah, she was great. I mean, she had up against Alex, who just kept coming forward and kept pressuring her, and she handled that very, very well. I was also very impressed with her post-fight speech. She was very respectful. I mean, she missed weight by a mile, and I think to address that with the fans and own up to it shows a lot about her character. So I mean, very impressed.
Dave, just a question in and around the original main event. Mark Hunt was conspicuous with his presence tonight, sitting cage side, supporting Ty with his family. Is that a sign of reconciliation? Is there any movement forward in that relationship that you can share? Yeah,
I mean, I guess it is a sign of reconciliation. I think the one thing is, you know, he's obviously very vocal in the last couple months, but we haven't had a fundamental issue. I mean, we just need to go through the medical process with him. You know, he wanted to be here. He wanted to support Ty. You know, he had his son and his nephew here, and he seemed to really enjoy himself. So we were happy to have him here. It's good to have him here because, you know, I mean, you saw the reaction when he walked out. It was, you know, everyone sort of jumped out of their seats and started screaming for him. So that was nice to see as well, but not surprising. But yeah, great to have him here.